Hi everyone, it's the 7th of June, end of the week, and so this is my weekly log. Start of the week, first day, Monday, was bank holiday, so obviously off to a great start for the week. It's actually the kids' half term as well, so it was nice to have an extra day off to spend with them. I'm not taking any more holidays this half term. We'll save some of those up for the summer, because I used quite a bit up earlier in this year. As with all bank holidays, sometimes you feel the week is shorter. It's 4 days instead of 5, so you sort of feel like you have to fit in a lot more within those 4 days that you normally get done over the course of 5 days. So this time the week started instead on Tuesday. We start off with the phase board review, so I just get together with the leads and we sort of just talk through what's going on the board, what's going on with the two different teams, and just having a chat about making sure that we're all on the same page about what's going on, and also looking at any tickets that need to be followed up on by any of us, and just essentially just making sure we're set for the week. It's actually, just thinking about it, just because we had a bank holiday, and having that start of the week is actually a much better way to go. So I might suggest moving that to Monday instead, because then we can have a solid start on Monday where we look at the week ahead rather than wait until Tuesday. It's one of those that's sort of a legacy session left over from the previous DM that I've not had a chance to reflect on. This is what I was talking about last time as well, just making sure that you step back and think about the bigger picture rather than just sort of spinning plates all the time. So stepping back, looking at the bigger picture. Do we actually want the phase board meeting to take place on a Monday instead of on the Tuesday? It seems to make more sense to move it to the Monday, I think. But I also think that perhaps it was moved to the Tuesday because of the various bank holiday Mondays that we have. I guess we'll see. I'll raise the point, have a discussion with the leads, and see if there's any historical context to why it was moved, or why it is on a Tuesday. And then I had a pairing and sharing session with a user researcher. So I mentioned this last time, my pair and share with a user researcher. We meet every fortnight and we just explore each other's roles and see what we do. Interesting for me because I'm interested in the user research side of things, because it can help me in what I do in terms of understanding how user research works. And for him as well, he wants an insight into delivery management, so he gets that from me. Last week he sure shared what he does on a day-to-day, so this week I shared what I do on a day-to-day. And hopefully you find it interesting. Just went through the calendar, through the different sessions, through the different sort of thinking points. It's not like actually this sort of weekly notes that I give. I've actually just done the weekly notes on the Friday, so when it came to Tuesday, just to talk about what I do on a weekly basis, it was all fairly fresh in my mind, even though I was talking about the last week. So I've been helping out another team with their delivery metrics, as I mentioned last week. The delivery manager was away and I sort of stepped in, product manager was there. So on the Wednesday I met with the product manager and another delivery manager and we went through the deck. The reason why we did this is we buddy up for the reports. This was a suggestion of mine actually, where I said it makes more sense before the reports are submitted that we review each other's decks. And so what's happened over the past couple of months is that we've partnered up with another delivery manager. We review each other's decks, make sure that it makes sense, and then they're sent off to the delivery leads. And that's what we were doing. So I just sort of sat in. I didn't have a lot of things to add because while I was pulling the data, I didn't really have the context for that team. So the product manager had more of the context, and that's a fairly important thing I think to understand, is that you can have all the data you want, but without the context of the team, actually that data is fairly meaningless. So let's say the cycle time, in this case, the cycle time is consistent, but the work in progress went up and the slow cards went up as well. But actually, the delivery manager had reduced the number of slow cards last time because there was a reason for those slow cards to have gone up. And also, the work in progress had gone up because the tickets have been split up further. But the cycle time had remained the same. So there was a few things that stood out as odd to me, which I highlighted, but the product manager was able to say, look, actually, this is the situation in the team. And so I've just invited her to add a note to the deck so that, like me, anyone just looking at the data would sort of question it. But with that note, a bit more context, it's a bit more straightforward, and sort of it can be understood that there's no actual issue. It's just that particular month. What we have in this organisation as well is an unplugged afternoon. So Wednesday afternoons, and this is, I say in this organisation, this is just within my part of this organisation. Unplugged afternoon, what we do is essentially we have an afternoon, Wednesday afternoon, which should be free of all meetings. And so the idea is that nobody has a meeting Wednesday afternoon. And most people are very good at sticking to that. We had our new product manager who came in. He directly went in straight away and put that meeting in there. So I had a chat with him saying, look, actually it's kind of unfair because everyone is respecting this rule of no meetings in the afternoon. And you've sort of gone ahead and put a meeting in there. And again, in a nice sort of way. It wasn't like I was aggressively confronting him. And he recognised that actually, if nobody else is using that time except him, then it becomes less of an unplugged afternoon and more of a product manager opportunity to add a meeting afternoon. So he recognized that, understood that. Obviously, it's new, as with anything, when you come into a new organization, you've got to understand the rules and the way things work in an organization, and that's the process that he's going through at the moment. The rest of the week actually was fairly tame this week. So in comparison to the week before, actually, it was a slightly less busy week. Now, I had to catch up with the documentation group. So I run a documentation group, and what we do is we've been reforming the documentation. And what I mean by this is that previously, and I've talked about this before, that the documentation previously was not very good, so we're just running through a process of refining it. We're towards the end stages now, so what we're doing is labeling where the new documentation is going to go, and then we're going to sort of present that to the team. Speaking of which, there's an away day coming up in about a month's time, and so we're going to present what we've done on the away day, and then we're going to sort of get the team involved as well. Again, we hadn't been involved at the very start of this project, and we've touched in on them during the project for user research processes, just make sure that we're on the right track for the new documentation. So we'll touch in again with them at the away day to make sure that we are set for the next step, which is actually doing the move, archiving stuff, and so on. I'll talk a bit more about the away day closer to the time. Still got a month left yet, so there's a lot of planning to go yet. Also this week had a couple of all staff, like full organization meetings, so again fairly sort of detached from the work I do in a lot of ways, but interesting to keep in touch with what's happening in the organisation as a whole, especially because there's a lot of changes going on at the organisation at the moment. I've talked about this a bit in the past as well, so it was interesting just to keep my finger on the pulse in terms of what is going on. And then towards the end of the week, I met up with a person on the Race Matters course, and as I mentioned last week, I'm in the process of applying for this race development course, so I wanted to meet up with someone, and I've met up with someone on Friday to talk with him about what the course is all about, how much effort is needed, how much does it intrude into your work, how beneficial did he find it, and so on. So because it's quite a lengthy involved program, and it's quite a lengthy involved application process, so what I wanted to do is make sure I'm 100% understanding of what is needed before I jump in and apply, because it's quite a long-term commitment. That was my week, so I hope you enjoyed listening to that, and I'll catch you same time next week.